Today on Business Talk, we're going to talk about electric motorcycle. Now, public interest in the electric motorcycle is rising in Indonesia, but challenges like high prices and limited infrastructure continue to hinder sales growth. This year's subsidy quota for battery-powered electric motorcycle in the country has been fulfilled with 63,157 units purchased. They surpassed the 2023 total of 11,532 units, signaling a growing demand for electric vehicles. Since March of 2023, the government has been subsidizing electric motorcycles with 7 million rupiah each to meet the requirement of at least 40% local content in their productions. It also aims to have 2 million electric cars and 13 million electric two-wheelers on the road by 2030. To support this goal, the Energy and Mineral Resource Ministry is accelerating the development of supporting infrastructure to create an effective ecosystem for electric vehicles. And today we're joined by Raditya Wibowo, the founder and CEO of Maka Motors, one of Indonesia's leading electric motorcycle manufacturers that is dedicated to creating eco-friendly and innovative two-wheelers. Good afternoon, Mas Raditya. Thank you so much for being here on See Today's. Congratulations on your recent launch. Can you talk a little bit on the launch that you just had?
Oh, it's been amazing.
Okay.
I think still feels like I'm living in a dream because we've been working on the bike for 3 years and we tried to keep everything confidential.
Okay.
So it feels really good to see the product out there, to see people actually trying the bike, liking the bike. We have a lot of positive reviews and comments on social media. Our showrooms are open, so a lot of people are doing test drives right now as well.
Nice. Now, which one's harder, keeping it secret or actually building the motorcycle?
Oh, both. Doing both at the same time was really
really hard. All right. So how do you see the current growth of electric motorcycle here in Indonesia?
Right. So I think there's a lot of potential, right? I think if you compare two-wheelers and four-wheelers, I would say four-wheelers has actually been going faster, which is kind of surprising because I think everyone thought the two-wheelers would go first.
Right.
Right. If you look at the numbers, last year, I think in August, about 8 to 9% of new passenger cars were already electric, whereas the equivalent number for two-wheelers all year was probably 1.5%.
Oh, wow. That's
So if you can simply get two-wheelers to where four-wheelers already is today, I think there's a lot of potential there. Right. And the question is why two-wheelers is behind, right?
Yeah.
In our view, it's a product market fit issue. So that's really what we're trying to solve.
Oh, okay. All right. So can you give us an idea? I mean, again, we're familiar with the market here in Indonesia, and as you mentioned, the motorcycle, it is kind of slower to catch up with the electric vehicles. Although, like from the numbers, it's surprising. I didn't realize that these already met the quota for the tax break of 63,000 something,
right?
Compared to 2023, which is only 11,000. That's a big gap right there. So
the growth year on year has been amazing. Last year as well, from March to August, I think the monthly sales went up like 3x before the quota ran out.
3x, wow, that's amazing. And then that's not, I mean, that's just the quota alone. Like we're talking like, so the sales actually more than that. Then
right.
Now, can you give us an idea? Do you have a figure? So like, can you give us an idea? Like, how is it the electric motorcycle? In other countries, let's say for like Thailand or other countries, or maybe India, do we have figures on that?
Right. So I think Indonesia's important globally actually because we're the world's third largest market for two-wheelers.
Interesting.
Right. The only two bigger markets are China and India.
Okay.
But one unique thing about Indonesia compared to those markets is the average price of a two-wheeler in Indonesia is actually higher. Right, so compared to China, the average price is significantly higher. Compared to India, it's slightly higher.
Okay.
Now, India started pushing for two-wheeler EV adoption a few years before we did.
Okay.
And I think if you look at the data, so a few years ago they were at 1.5%, and then the year after they went to like 4.5%. Right? So it was a big jump. And I think if Indonesia can follow the same trajectory, there's a lot of potential there.
All right. So you mentioned earlier how your company Maka Motors is trying to what do you call it? Trying to capture that consumers.
Right.
Trying to solve that problems that people are not adapting that fast enough. So can you tell us what is Maka Motors and your journey into the industry and what inspired to start that Maka Motors?
Right. So as I mentioned, we think it's a product market fit issue. And I think what's most important is understanding what the Indonesian customer actually needs from their two-wheeler, right? Because for most Indonesians, their bike is the most expensive thing they own. They rely on it every day. It needs to be very reliable. The price is higher than China and India, but the bar is also higher in terms of quality. The expectations are high, right? So personally, I've been riding a motorcycle since high school.
Okay.
Yeah, so my co-founder and I, we were actually neighbors in high school. So we used to go to school together on my bike that I was still using until like last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What happened? The new motorcycle you using
I
your own
finally
now?
got my own bike. So I've been riding it all weekend. But yeah, I think if you look at China and India, the way they use the bikes is very different, right? So if you look at China, they typically travel shorter distances. They don't need a lot of power. They typically don't carry a passenger as well, right? Yeah, so it's really a first and last mile thing connecting to public transport. And then if you look at India, they also have the three-wheelers. Right, so for people transport, for logistics transport, they will use the three-wheelers as well. Now in Indonesia, we use the two-wheelers for literally everything.
Right.
And people travel long distances, especially in a city like Jakarta, because our public transport infrastructure still needs to be built out. So you need a motorcycle that has a very long range and also performs equally, if not better, compared to a gasoline motorcycle.
Right.
Right. So that's really what we've spent the last 3 years trying to develop. And aside from the range and the performance, styling is also very important. Because for Indonesians, motorcycles it's kind of a way of life, right? It's a fashion statement. So you need something that looks really cool as well.
Yeah.
And I think after 3 years, we're very happy to launch a product that we think fulfills those needs.
You know, obviously, when, like you mentioned, for Indonesian, buying a motorcycle is not just commuting for works, but like, you know, you drop your kids, you do your shoppings, and then like delivering. And then one of the things that we do a lot, and then we actually go during the homecoming,
Right.
during the Eid season,
Right.
the long traveling. So the most question is those batteries and how you charge it. Like,
Right.
again, gasoline, you go somewhere and then you just put in your gasoline
Right.
and you keep continue. So how, is there any solution for your company to actually tackle that problem?
Right. That's a great question, and this comes up a lot, right? People make a very long trip sometimes during Lebaran,
Yes.
once a year, but it's a very long trip.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, and I think so. Our bike is definitely more optimized for like a daily urban use case, right? So within city travel. Most people who have electric motorcycles today, they have it as their second bike, right? So they have a gasoline bike for these very long trips. But so I think you can use our bike to go very long distances using fast charging, because we have a fast charging feature. So you can charge the bike. Basically, you can get 20 kilometers with like 12 minutes of charging.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah. We do need to install more fast chargers along the route, which will take a bit of time, right? But you know, you can use the bike that way.
Okay.
However, the main use case is actually for a daily commute inside the city, and we think the main reason for people to switch will actually be to save money.
Okay.
Right, because you know, you don't need to go to the gas station, you don't need to pay for fuel. You just plug it in when you get home. In the morning, it's full. On one full charge, you can travel 160 kilometers, and that would cost you like 6,000 to 8,000 rupiah in electricity.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a lot cheaper than 25,000 to 30,000 rupiah for fuel.
I mean, I know you guys barely launched your motorcycles, but like I have to ask you this question because like Tesla already did it. I mean,
Right.
they're not only building the cars, but they also building the charging stations.
Right.
So are we gonna see those charging like is there like company? Because like that's become
Right.
like the questions that keep coming up. Like
Yeah.
how am I gonna charge it? As you mentioned, like throughout like when they're doing the mudik, the homecoming,
Yeah.
where am I gonna charge it? Where's this fast charging is gonna be? And then at the end of the day, like when they actually get home,
Right.
where are they going to charge it? Like is there any
Right.
plan on that, or are you guys working with anybody on that matter?
Right. So I think this is the main problem, right? Range anxiety, right? So number one, you need a big enough battery to carry to take you a long enough distance until you can charge it again, right? So for our bike, that's 160 kilometers.
Oh wow.
Yeah. From our data, the average customer in Jakarta will travel like 20 kilometers a day.
Okay.
But sometimes you will need to go 120, 140, especially for commercial drivers like ojol, right?
Yes.
So our bike is designed to support that as well with the 160 kilometers of range. There are 3 ways of charging it. So we have the fast chargers.
Okay.
The fast chargers can give you 20 kilos in like 12 minutes. We have the fast chargers at our showrooms today. We do plan to expand to more locations throughout the year. The bike itself comes with a charger that is bundled with the bike. Now that charger is 500 watts. So it's relatively smaller. And we did that on purpose to make it accessible because many houses in Indonesia have 900 watts of electricity. So you should be able to plug it in anywhere and simply charge while you're doing something else.
So it's got to be safe, right?
Yes.
All right. So how do you see the role of electric motorcycle in reducing carbon emissions and promoting basically greener Indonesia?
Right, right. So I think living in Jakarta, obviously you feel this as well. It's a big problem, right? Air quality, we all feel it. I'm a runner as well. I run outside. I look forward to a day when I can run and not inhale smog.
Right.
The thing is, for Indonesian consumers, reducing carbon emissions does not yet drive their purchase decision. Right? So if you look at, for example, Europe, I have friends in Europe who say that they bought an EV car because they feel like it's the right thing to do, which is amazing, right? But in Indonesia, customers don't really do this yet, so you have to offer some other reason for them to switch. And we think that reason is to save money, basically, right? But saving money alone is not enough, right? Because all EVs save money. People want a bike that saves them money, but also performs like the gasoline bike they're already using. That's why we focus on performance as well. So our bike goes from 0 to 60 kilometers per hour in 4.8 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been riding it all weekend. I rode it here. I got here really fast from our office.
Should I bring it here, inside here?
Yeah. I can give you a test ride. The bike's outside.
Cool. I mean, it's interesting. It's funny. You mentioned running. People are asking me, Mona's right there, and they're like, why don't you just run in Mona's? Like, it's the fuel, man. It's from the cars. That's why I go to GBK, because it's still, even though it's still like that, but it's still cleaner. So you mentioned something about price. With electric motorcycle, considerably price is still relatively high. So how do you plan to make them more accessible to the public? Right.
So I think ultimately, the way to see it, so our bike is at 35 million rupiahs-ish, right? So this is the kind of the mass premium segment of the market, right? And the reason it's in that price point is because we have a very large battery in it, right? Because again, the main problem is range anxiety, so you need a large enough battery to address that problem, right? So that's kind of our starting point. Now, the bike itself, again, is in the mass premium segment, but you save a lot of money simply by not having to buy gasoline, right? And 70% of Indonesians buy a bike using installments or financing. So I think the way to see it is, for example, if you end up paying, let's say, 1.5 million per month of installment, but you can save up to 500K per month on gasoline, then you basically take the difference, and that's the additional money you spend.
Right? That one.
Yeah.
All right. So the question is gonna be, what's your selling point? I mean, the price for the Maka Motors Cavalry, and what is the key specifications that we're gonna get on those?
Right. Okay, so the Maka Cavalry is priced at 35 million rupiahs-ish, right? For that price, you get biggest battery in its class, 4 kilowatt hours. It takes you 160 kilometers on a single full charge. You can charge it anywhere. It comes with a 500 watt charger that you can plug in anywhere. We have fast charging as well.
It's already included?
It comes with the bike. So you can plug it in anywhere, right, when you park. It looks cool, right? You can see the photos on the internet, or I can show you outside. But we think it looks really cool. Obviously, it's subjective, but anyone we know who's seen the bike thinks it's cool. And I think number 3 is performance, right? So you do get the best performance in its class. Top speed is 105 kilometers per hour. Acceleration is very fast, 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. It can go up a 30-degree incline as well. And we spent a lot of time tuning the throttle response, so it feels really smooth. It feels, I would say, it feels even better than a gasoline bike because you get instant torque, right? So it's actually really nice for slipping in between traffic.
Very interesting. It sounds like it's a motorcycle for the motor riders out there that really into the motorcycle. Mas Raditya, thank you again being here on See Today. I hope I see you again, and hopefully you're going to be part of the solution that we have here in the country. All right, that was our conversation on electric motorcycle market in Indonesia for today's Business Talk. You can stay connected with us on Instagram, X, and YouTube at Today News. We're also available online at today.news.com. Let's stay connected.